the Tor Books campaign, Magic and Mayhem, for this year's Tor Books authors. My name is SL Huang, and I write science fiction thrillers about an anti-heroine who can do math really, really fast.
Math really, really fast.
And she uses it to kill a lot of people, which is what you do with math, naturally.
How do you use math to kill people?
Well, you see, if I could calculate, it's pretty much like that, but she's a lot more sarcastic about it. I actually wrote these books because I'm a math nerd. I've been a nerd my whole life, science fiction, science, math, everything. And I wrote these books partly because I wanted to share my joy of mathematics with people. So I actually love it when people aren't into math and they're like, I hate math, but I love your books. And I'm like, yes! That's awesome. I also have a serialized novel out. It's called The Vela, and it's with co-authors Yoon-Ha Lee, River Solomon, and Becky Chambers, which is kind of just an awesome team to be writing with. And that's a space opera. It's a lot of action adventure, super diverse cast, and a lot of deep themes that you might recognize, like stuff about refugees and like migration politics, environmental politics, but above and beyond everything else, just a great adventure, and you can find that from Serial Box.
I am plugging 2 books.
2 books?
Yes. I'll go in chronological order.
Go for it.
So the first book is a young adult science fiction novel titled War Girls that comes out October of this year.
So wait. Are they girls and they go to war?
So they're girls trapped in war,
Okay.
separated by war, and who have to fight war to get back to each other.
Aww. I think people can relate to that.
Yeah. Set in a future Nigeria.
Future Nigeria. Wild animals.
Wild mechanical animals.
Oh, like Terminator animals.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So
Like Terminator meets Lion King. So the second one is Riot Baby with Tor. And so I'm seeing on the red carpet a couple of my fellow Tor authors here. Yeah, so it's a story of these 2 siblings, Ella and Kev, who grow up in the 90s during the LA uprising, through the 2000s in Harlem. And they start to manifest superpowers while dealing with structural racism. Issues like mass incarceration, police violence, the maternal mortality rate. Like, if you discovered as a child that you could do extraordinary things while all of this horrible stuff was happening to you in the world, what would that do to you? And that's the question that Riot Baby tries to answer.
Well, I write the Wayward Children series, which is a series of modern portal fantasies about children who have traveled to magical worlds and then returned. And I just wrote Middle Game, which is an adult fantasy about alchemy and the Pythagorean philosophical concept of the doctrine of ethos, which holds that mathematics and language together control reality.
tell me a little bit more about this alchemy stuff, because that sounds very interesting to me.
Well, alchemy holds that basically the universe contains all of the materials of its own creation and destruction, which is why so much of alchemy is focused on transfiguration. Turning lead into gold is the classic there. You've got the panacea, which is the ultimate cure-all, and you've got the alkahest, which is the ultimate dissolver. It can destroy anything. And these are all ancient alchemical formulae. They've been in the human consciousness for centuries. So it's using alchemy as a magic system to create people and try to embody universal constants.
It's called The Future of Another Timeline, and it's about a secret group of time-traveling feminists who are trying to prevent reproductive rights from being erased from the timeline.
That's deep.
It's deep, but there's a lot of action. There's some shooting and some running around.
So we're talking about multiple universe or alternate universe?
That is a really good question. So I decided on a single timeline because my characters are in an edit war with a group of dudes who are trying to erase reproductive rights. And so they're trying to re-edit the timeline to bring them back. So it's all one timeline. And kind of like Back to the Future, so we're all in the same timeline. So what you do in the past will affect the future. You can't erase yourself or anything like that because it's really hard to change history, it turns out. As we know from trying to change things now, it's hard if you go back in time as well. So part of the book is about that war, and part of it is about a teenage girl who keeps getting visited by a mysterious time traveler.
A mysterious time traveler.
Yeah, it's hard if you're a time traveler trying to change anything, but especially to change a teenager's mind.
My recent book came out in February, and it's called The City in the Middle of the Night.
The City in the Middle of the
And
Night.
it's about a girl who gets sent into permanent, kind of eternal darkness, and she survives by learning to communicate with the creatures that live there in the dark. It's on this other planet where there's a dark side and a light side, and the dark side is really, really, really cold, and it never there's never any sunlight there. It's really fun. It was really interesting to research and work on and stuff.
That's awesome. What are you working on next?
I have a young adult novel that's coming out in the next couple years from Tor. That's a space opera. And also AnnaLee Newitz and I are doing a podcast called Our Opinions Are Correct. The two of us founded io9.com together, the website about science fiction and science. And so this is kind of a continuation of that in podcast form. So we just launched that about a year and a half ago. It's been nominated for a Hugo for Best Fan Cast. And yeah, it's been going really well. It's been really fun.